There's a city underground, right now, beneath your feet. A city with no mayor, no government, no central authority, 100,000 citizens. All of them working in perfect coordination. Building, farming, fighting, defending, all without a single leader. All without a single brain telling them what to do. Not metaphorically, literally. An ant colony. And here's the part that breaks your mind. Each ant is stupid. Genuinely stupid. A single ant has maybe 1,000 neurons. Your brain has 86 billion. A single ant is barely conscious. It can't plan, can't think, can't make decisions. But 100,000 ants together, they build civilizations. They wage wars. They negotiate peace treaties. They farm fungus. They construct architecture. They do all of this without a brain. How? This shouldn't be possible. You cannot build a civilization without intelligence. You cannot coordinate 100,000 actions without a command center. You cannot wage strategic wars without a general. You cannot manage resources without an administrator. Yet ants do this every single day. Here's the paradox. An ant colony is more intelligent than any individual ant could ever be. But no single ant understands what's happening. No single ant has a plan. No single ant knows the big picture. Each ant only knows 3 things. 1, what's directly in front of it. 2, what it needs to do right now. 3, what chemicals it's receiving from other ants. That's it. 3 simple inputs. And from those 3 inputs, somehow 100,000 ants create civilization. They build tunnels 30 feet deep. They create chambers for eggs, for food storage, for waste. They establish highways, physical and superhighways, that all the workers follow. They recognize each other through chemical signatures. They fight invaders. They negotiate with neighboring colonies. They farm fungus for food. They do things we can barely understand, but none of them know why they're doing it. None of them have a plan. None of them have a brain. So how does this even work? The answer is they follow an algorithm. Not a written algorithm. Not programmed by a computer. An algorithm written into their DNA. A chemical algorithm. Here's how it works. An ant does something, finds food, discovers a threat, discovers a nest entrance. When it finds something important, it releases a chemical, a pheromone. This chemical is information. It's a message. Food here. Danger. New entrance. Other ants smell the pheromone. They follow it. If they find the food, they also release pheromones. More ants follow. The chemical trail gets stronger. More ants follow the stronger trail. Within hours, you have a superhighway of ants, all following the same path, all because of a chemical signal. But here's where it gets algorithmic. The chemical doesn't last forever. It evaporates. So if an ant finds an old food source, one that's been picked clean, the ants follow it, find nothing, and don't re-release the pheromone. The chemical trail evaporates. The highway disappears. Within hours, all the ants abandon that path and search elsewhere. They're not being told to move. They're not being commanded. They're following a simple rule. Follow the strongest chemical signal. Re-release it if you find what you're looking for. Let it evaporate if you don't. 3 simple instructions. From 3 simple instructions emerges intelligence. Now imagine this happening simultaneously. Worker ants following food trails. Scout ants discovering new areas and releasing pheromones. Soldier ants following chemical alerts to threats. Nurse ants following chemical signals to egg chambers. They watched a colony building a nest. Ants carrying sand and pebbles. Digging tunnels. Creating chambers. The architecture is complex. It has multiple exits. Multiple chambers. Perfect proportions. Did the lead ant design this? Did it have a blueprint? No. Scientists watched the algorithm. Each ant followed one simple rule. If you're carrying a material, release pheromones. If you smell pheromones, deposit your material here. That's it. Just that. And from that simple rule, emerges perfect architecture. No engineer, no designer, no brain. Just simple rules creating complex emergent behavior. It's like watching fractals emerge from mathematical equations. Or like watching a hologram appear from scattered light. Complexity from simplicity. Intelligence from non-intelligence. But the mind-bending part isn't the architecture. They negotiate. They form alliances with certain colonies and fight others. They do this without anyone understanding strategy. Without anyone knowing what war is. Without anyone having a brain. Each ant follows simple rules about pheromone concentration. But those rules create military tactics. That's not emergence. That's emergence of intelligence itself. This is the ant algorithm. And here's what it reveals. Intelligence isn't what we think it is. We assume intelligence requires a brain, a central processor, someone in charge. But ants prove something else. Intelligence can emerge from simplicity, from distributed decision-making, from local information creating global behavior. In fact, maybe that's the secret of intelligence itself. Maybe consciousness isn't required. Maybe understanding isn't required. Maybe all you need is simple rules, applied consistently, across thousands of individuals. And from that, emerges intelligence. An ant colony with 100,000 ants has more collective intelligence than any human. But not a single ant understands what's happening. Not a single ant has a brain. Not a single ant is conscious. Yet they build civilizations. They wage wars. They farm. They negotiate. They do things we can barely do with our enormous brains. This is the empire rule continued. The most powerful civilizations aren't built by the smartest leaders. They're built by the simplest rules, followed perfectly by millions of individuals. Ants don't dominate because they're intelligent. They dominate because they follow an algorithm, because they trust the algorithm, because they are the algorithm. And from that absolute simplicity and absolute obedience to simple rules, emerges something that looks like genius, something that looks like empire, something that changes entire worlds. The ants aren't thinking, but the colony is thinking for them. So when you see an ant colony, you're not looking at insects. You're looking at distributed intelligence. You're looking at the proof that empires don't require genius. They require perfect execution of simple rules. If you want to understand the hidden rules that actually govern how power works in nature, from apex predators reshaping ecosystems to tiny creatures building civilizations, subscribe. Next video, the species that broke evolution itself. How one creature weaponized an ability so unusual, nature didn't know how to stop it. See you there.